Hey ladies, what's good? Thank you so much for coming over to our channel, Mommy Seekers International, where we talk about all things motherhood, and we even involve some current events that are happening in our world, where you know ultimately that mom, you're not only a good person, not only a good mom or a woman, but you literally have a purpose under heaven to fulfill in the earth.
Tonight, something different. Imagine millions of people watch your life come unglued. An all-out panic attack on TV. It happened to our Dan Harris, but his journey of discovery brought back some lessons for all of us about our lives too, and he's telling us about it tonight, Dan.
Hi, Dan. This is a very personal story, as you know, because you were right there when it all started. Sometimes there are things holding us back from being happy, and we're not aware of it until life hits us over the head with a frying pan. And that is what happened to me.
From ABC News, this is Good Morning America.
Welcome to the most embarrassing day of my life.
We're going to go now to Dan Harris, who's at the news desk. Dan.
Good morning, Charlie and Diane. Thank you. This is me 10 years ago. And the reason this is the most embarrassing day of my life is not that it looks like I've been attacked by a blow dryer and a can of hairspray. No, it's that I am about to freak out on national television. Health news now. One of the world's most commonly prescribed medications may be providing a big bonus. Researchers report people who take cholesterol-lowering drugs called statins for at least 5 years may also lower their risk for cancer. But it's too early to prescribe statins slowly for cancer production. At this point, I realize I'm helpless, so I bail right in the middle. That does it for news. We're going to go back now to Robin and Charlie.
All right, thanks very much, Dan Harris at the news desk with some of the headlines of the morning. Want to go to Tony Perkins now. Once the fear subsided, humiliation rushed in. I knew with rock-solid certainty that I had just had a panic attack on national television. So why would I tell you this very embarrassing story? Because that on-air meltdown was the culmination of something that had been building for years, something I never stopped to address. It's something we all battle, whether we have panic attacks or not. Call it the voice in your head.
That's where I feel stress.
It's the inner narrator that can control us.
Highly critical.
Get in the way of living the life we want to lead. For Brian Simmons, it was outbursts of anger.
I would act very reactively, very
For Becky Schmitz, it was emotional eating.
Eating was like my security blanket.
And for a young Dr. Mehmet Oz, it was a racing mind that kept him from focusing on one thing at a time.
For me, saying a voice in the head is too benign an expression of what really happens. That massive cacophony that we hear, deafeningly loud.
Does it surprise you at all how much time we all spend fixating on these self-defeating voices we hear?
I've always been surprised how much time we spend wasting on the voices in our head telling us we're not good enough.
In my case, like many Americans, my inner voice was pushing me to succeed. Annual New Year's party in New York. This is me in my late 20s.
Thank you, Dan. Dan Harris.
I had my dream job, but I also had doubts about whether I was good enough. But it's hard to do that. All right, I'm going to try it. 3, 2, 1. My solution? Become a workaholic. After 9/11, I volunteered to spend years in war zones where I covered the heroics of our men and women overseas and got a real taste of both the horror and the adrenaline of combat. After years of always barreling forward, when I finally slowed down, it was as if my mind revolted and I got depressed. And so in my free time, I briefly but stupidly began self-medicating. And it was those recreational drugs, my doctor would later tell me, that almost certainly produced the on-air panic attack. But losing it in front of 5 million people became a turning point. It set me off on a strange, unplanned odyssey, the kind of search so many of us embark upon for answers, understanding, and strength. Ultimately, it would lead me to something I never would have expected, as it has for Dr. Oz and millions of others.
Going inside my mind is no longer going behind enemy lines.
After a journey that involved megachurches, self-help gurus, and brain researchers, what I found is something simple, scientifically tested, and completely free. It's being done by executives, pro athletes, and even the U.S. Marines. It's not a miracle cure, but I like to say it makes you about 10% happier. Much more on that tomorrow night right here.
Right here. And again, Dan, for all of us who've been through this with you, wow, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And learn about the simple answers Dan found tomorrow on World News and his new book, 10% Happier. And again, don't miss tomorrow night.
Hello and welcome, our founder and creator, Mrs. Chantrell Lowery.
The point that you just said that we don't think about. Can you just like say that again, please?
Okay.
Because that really blessed my whole life.
It blessed your whole life?
Yeah, no, I'm serious. It really did.
Being healed, sometimes we focus on healing, but you got to learn to identify what is the area of healing that you need to go through for your next level, like for your next step.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes, I mean, we all got trauma, we all got issues, we all got insecurities, and you can be focusing on an area of healing that may not necessarily be needed for the next step you need to take in this season.
Wow.
So just because it's an area that you need healing in because of your past trauma, you can really want to be healed in that area, but that's really not the area you need to focus on for the next step you need to take in this specific season.
Wow.
And I don't really know how to identify that. Everybody different. But you at least need to know that in certain seasons of your life, in certain places where you gotta pivot, you can't be focused on all of the areas that you need healing in.
Wow.
You know, you gotta learn to see, okay, well, I'm being limited in this area for this next step I need to take.
Wow.
And what you gonna say?
Man, that is so good, Rob. Like, because even like the little, I would call it the little moment I had where I felt like really cluttered and I felt all these things were coming at me at once. It's you actually having enough self-control to say all of these things, even though I'm not saying they're not important, but specifically what is the thing that I need to be focusing on? Because a lot of times, like, we can be clouded, like, with a whole bunch of stuff hitting us from the north, south, east, and west. And it's like, oh, this is happening. I'm trying to help myself over here, and I'm trying to do this. And it's like, that is just such...
Yes, even when you say all these things happening, hitting you at once, you need to learn to be able to say, okay, these 7 things is happening. What is the one thing that I need to focus on right now? Because if 7 things happening at once, there's one decision you need to make that can eliminate 3 of those things.
Wow.
But you gotta learn to be like, okay, you can't look at all 7 of them. You know, in my opinion, I say, which one is bothering you the most? I'll say at least start with that one.
Wow.
But you just can't look at all 7.
But you can't answer all of them.
Yeah, you can't. So that's
It's not
why.
healthy.
So that's why you got to say, well, you can't do it.
Yeah.
You even if you want to, and I think that's what's.
Hey ladies, we'll have a 4-week Bible study series focusing on moms in the Bible who went against all odds.
In other words, rogue mamas. Mamas who have literally gone rogue.